John Kelly for the Boxing Channel alongside Hall of Famer Al Bernstein. Time for another edition of Hot Topics, our look at the latest news and events in the world of boxing. Al, the weather here in Las Vegas is heating up,
Yeah.
And so too is the boxing action in the ring.
That's for sure. We have a lot to talk about, and we're headed toward a summer period that will be a little slower, but a lot of things going on right now.
Hot topic number one, the flamboyant Adrien Broner. Al was ringside. Broner defeated Paulie Malignaggi last month, a split decision victory. How good is Adrien Broner, and how good can he be?
Yeah, that's the $64,000 question, isn't it, for boxing fans? Not for him. He thinks he's the greatest ever, I think. Certainly no lack of modesty for Adrien Broner. But the win over Paulie Malignaggi, a split decision win, we might add, in what was a fairly close fight. I ended up having it on my scorecard, a 2-point win for Adrien Broner. Told us a few things, though. You know, Paulie Malignaggi, a very clever boxer, who's not a huge puncher, took Broner into later rounds, and Broner had never been 12 rounds until that fight, John, and when he got into those later rounds, Broner wasn't too comfortable. And during the course of this fight, Broner was very economical in the number of punches he threw. He landed some showy punches, though at 147 pounds, two weight divisions above where he was fighting at, 135, those punches didn't hurt Paulie Malignaggi. Even though Malignaggi has a good chin, still there's questions about whether Broner is a big puncher at 147. If he's going to continue to fight top-level competition, and he's going to have to, not throwing punches is going to be a problem because he may not knock people out, and he's going to lose some of these close decisions if he doesn't throw more punches. How good is Adrien Broner? I think the jury is absolutely still out. He only fought Ponce de Leon as a top-level opponent before the Malignaggi fights. He's really only fought two top-level opponents. In both cases, he's been forced to go the distance and win close decisions.
He is undefeated in 27 professional fights, is the 23-year-old Adrien Broner. How much of a fan base does Broner have? Does his flamboyance translate to a fan base?
Well, here's an interesting statistic. The fight between he and Paulie Malignaggi, and we can give Malignaggi some credit for this as well, two very flamboyant personalities and lots of trash talking leading up to the fight, some of which didn't exactly elevate the art of pre-fight publicity. That fight drew 1.3 million homes on Showtime. The second highest rating Showtime has ever had since it began ranking fights in terms of viewership. So Adrien Broner clearly has a following out there. He's flamboyant, he's a character, he's way over the top in many cases in his behavior, so he's a polarizing figure. You either find him interesting or you find him totally sophomoric and not humorous. Either way, if you're in the first camp, you want to see him. If you're in the second camp, you kind of want to see him get his block knocked off. So either way, he brings people's interest to his fights.
Finding the right amount of substance and style for boxers, Al. Put your historian cap on for a moment. Who was the best in the game at finding that proper amount of substance and style? And who's the best currently going today, having both substance and style?
Yeah, it's a really good question, you know, and there's different kinds of style. Now, Broner's kind of style, as I said, very over the top, very dramatic, some would say ridiculously obvious. I'm working right now on a show that involves looking back at the young Muhammad Ali. Clearly, he wrote the book on this, and he was very out there, obviously, but he was great at having not only the style and the flamboyancy, but always backing it up in the ring. Another fighter who had it in not as showy a way was Sugar Ray Leonard, who had lots of style and panache, but he was the goods in the ring, even though some people wondered it early in his career. And then, of course, there was the great Sugar Ray Robinson, who exuded style and class. That was his kind of flamboyance. That was his kind of, showmanship. And, of course, he backed it up completely in the ring. And I think today, you have to say that Floyd Mayweather Jr. is probably the perfect example of it. And he's honed that a little bit. And he's kind of, interestingly, the one giving Broner advice on trying to tone his act down, and did have a 2-hour conversation with Broner after this last fight, telling him, hey, little bro, you have to find a way to measure what you're doing to make yourself entertaining, but to still find some kind of middle ground. And you'll notice Mayweather, over the course of his career, has kind of tried to find that middle ground somewhere along the line, and has achieved that a little better in recent fights.
It's interesting to watch the maturation process of Floyd Mayweather Jr. as he goes along, 36 now, serving as a mentor to Adrien Broner.
Did you ever think you were going to make that statement? No.
Right. But it's good to see, and it's good for boxing, and to have both Mayweather and Broner around, whether you root for them or against them. Hot topic number 2, getting fighters in the ring together that the fans want to see. It's unfortunate the powers that be in the sport sometimes err in this respect. We saw it most recently with Floyd Mayweather Jr. and Manny Pacquiao, a fight that was never delivered for us. On a lesser scale, Al, there's a fight out there, Abner Mares against Mikey Garcia. It'd be great to see that fight. Would that fight ever take place?
Well, that is the latest casualty, and I think maybe one of the biggest right now in the Cold War going on between Golden Boy Promotions and Top Rank Promotions, Bob Arum's company. And we talk about a lot of different fights that can't happen, whether it's in the 140, 147-pound division with Rios and Alvarado and Pacquiao and Bradley and Juan Manuel Marquez over there in the Arum side, and Danny Garcia and Lucas Matisse and Marcos Maidana and those kind of people, and Broner and Mayweather over on the Golden Boy side, and Amir Khan as well. But down below those weight divisions, we find Mikey Garcia and Abner Mares. And what makes this so fascinating is Garcia, who was one of the featherweight champions, undefeated young man, who now in his last fight had to give up the featherweight championship because he came in overweight, now likely to move up to 130. Mares, also a featherweight champion, who just beat Daniel Ponce de Leon, could fight at 130. So these two men, both undefeated, both in their 20s, both could fight each other, and it would make a mega fight. It's a perfect style matchup. Garcia is a measured fighter who counterpunches and who looks for specific shots and is a lethal puncher. And Abner Mares, who is a fighter who likes to come forward and take some chances, but also showed us in the Ponce de Leon fight, again reminded us that his Olympic pedigree as a great amateur fighter, that he's a good boxer puncher as well. These are two supremely talented fighters. Neither man has lost as a pro, and they've both faced tough competition, especially Mares. This is the one that, for me, makes me shed a tear, metaphorically speaking, over the Cold War in boxing.
And I can hear the enthusiasm in your voice about it too. You're ready for the fight right now.
I think every boxing fan would love to see that fight. And if there's one fight I would like to make some kind of pitch to Top Rank and Golden Boy to say, please find a way to do business, it's for this fight. I mean, this would be a beauty.
Hot topic number 3, Al. Third and final topic, Sergio Martinez. Word on the street is that Sergio Martinez may be in line to fight the winner of the September 14th battle between Floyd Mayweather Jr. and Canelo Alvarez. Do you think that's a possibility? Do the rumors merit consideration?
Well, he wants to. And for the first time, I think he understands. He's in the twilight of his career. He's had a couple injuries. Didn't fight as well as he would like to against Murray in his last title defense down in Argentina. And I think for the first time, he'd make a real concerted effort to try and make this fight happen. Move down to 154. The problem for him is if somehow Canelo Alvarez would upset Mayweather, there would be a return clause in the contract, and immediately Alvarez would fight Mayweather. However, if Mayweather won this fight, I think the Mayweather camp would be very tempted to try and make a deal with Martinez if they could make one financially, and I suspect they might be able to, because if Martinez would come down to 154, Mayweather could go fight him and wouldn't have to get up to 154. Martinez has shown some chinks in the armor in the last few fights, and you know, when you're a fighter like Mayweather, you can get somebody at a time when you think he may be vulnerable. I think it's a fascinating fight for Mayweather because it helps him in his mind, if he gets a win, cement his legacy. And I think it would be a fascinating fight. I think boxing fans would find it interesting to see the middleweight champion moving down to 154 pounds to take on this iconic fighter.
That'll wrap up another edition of Hot Topics for Al Bernstein, Showtime boxing analyst. I'm John Kelly, reporting for the Boxing Channel.